Hi there, and welcome to our chats that we're having today from FreedomXFest. I'm here live with Ken Weary, and I'm here virtually with Lilia Stoinovov. And I'm actually overlooking a most beautiful view, overlooking the Pyrenees, and we've got sun streaming in, so we're in a nice cool shady area and away from all the activity and all the speakers and the workshops and the music going on. We're in a quiet visibility hub where there's loads of Wi-Fi and having a good time. So thank you very much for attending the live today. I just wanted to introduce you to begin with. Ken, would you be able to introduce yourself a little bit about where you're from and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Deborah. So my name is Ken Weary, and I'm the Vice President of Operations for HotJar. HotJar is a web analytics and feedback company. We're a company of 66 team members spread out across 17 different countries. We're 100% remote and virtual company, and my team at HotJar operations is encompassed of culture and finance, legal, compliance, and just generally supporting the team from a human and talent-based perspective.
Sorry, you're the right person to speak to, creating the change in how the future of work is happening. You are the mover and shaker. Very pleased to have you. And I'm really pleased also to have Lilia on, who, we're going to have a great conversation. So Lilia, if you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Deborah. Hi, everyone. I'm Lilia Stoyanov, the CEO of Transformify Recruitment CRM. We help businesses to hire diverse workforce and transfer secure payments worldwide. Just like HotJar, and by the way, we're a client of HotJar. We have our team all over the world. We're a 100% remote company and already have clients from 150 countries. And we continue to expand because of our social mission and the ability to transform people's lives for good.
You are doing absolutely amazing things. You know, you are creating social change from the bottom up. You are also part of, is it the European Commission, did you say? Or the Digital Skills Gap?
Yeah, sure. We're a member of the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition, working to close the digital skills gap. Put simply, there is a huge gap between the skills the business needs and the skills the people possess. And because there is no sufficient information, a person who is looking for a job hardly knows what skills to develop to increase the chances of getting hired and being paid well. And that's where we step in, because we possess the information and we communicate with the job seekers, but also with a variety of other institutions, universities, you name it, to make it easy for the people to upskill and to be easy for the business to fill in the roles they have open.
For the future of work, I'll ask Lilia again first. What are the skills in our future that you believe that people need to know, because digital skills is quite an overwhelming concept, and it might be sort of off-putting to people. But in terms of like transferable skills, what are those kind of skills where which would allow people to grow their digital skills?
There are very interesting trends, and I would say that each trend is lasting over a certain period of time, especially when it comes to certain languages like PHP, Java, etc. There is a trend. Also the blockchain technology that's emerging. I'm also a blockchain and fintech expert. the moment a lot of companies adopt the technology, there is a sudden need of experts who are familiar with that technology. And after a period of time, of course, the business shifts to something new. And then all these people need to develop new skills. And the best way is to have knowledge that allows them to easily acquire new skills, to upskill.
I'm going to ask Ken in a minute, but one more question for Lilia. So how do people get that knowledge? What's the best way?
I would say that there is an abundance of information and many free courses. Being an Oxford graduate, I know that the top universities in the world offer free courses. And it is not just Oxford, it is Stanford, it is Harvard, and many of the Ivy League universities. It is rather for the people to decide which skills are relevant to them and how likely are they to develop these new skills and to start learning. It's not a matter of having financial capability, I would say, not anymore. You still can learn from the top experts for free. It's just the time and the will to learn.
And it is amazing that there is so much on the internet that you can take control of your destiny and create these opportunities for yourself. It's much more now about, the future of work is about self-management and creating those opportunities. I'm going to put this back to Ken. What's your view on people being able to do courses, because you're an operations person, so you sort of help with training. So what's your perspective?
Cool. Great question, and I have a lot of similarities with what Lilia said as well, which is you can never really, you'll never be able to outguess or predict what the next trend, whether that's a particular skill within technology or whatever may be hot. Right now, of course, virtual reality, augmented reality, blockchain, fintech are all very popular and very good ways to earn revenue, but by the time you start learning them and become an expert in them, the trend will have changed. And so I think what's most important is to be a lifelong learner, have a desire to always look for, always yearn to learn, to understand, be curious. And that will draw you to understanding and exploring, at least on the fringes, if not the in-depth aspects of these trends as they come about. And then you can gravitate to the ones that have the right opportunities for you at the times that you have, because you start with a baseline level understanding and curiosity about
them. Again, for Ken then, so when people come to you, do you, I know that you're operations, so you're quite high level, but do you get a feeling of how to put that into practice with people? Can you comment on that?
Yeah, so this is one of the HotJar's core values, is to always be learning, and we look at this because we know this as a reality of people who are intellectually curious are ones that can oftentimes be the most creative and be the most empowering. And so as we go through our recruitment process at HotJar, we are always looking for different aspects to tease out. Is this person somebody who has that curiosity and has that drive to learn? Because what they're focused on today may not be the right thing that we need them to focus on a year from now or 2 years from now. And we the more people are hungry for this knowledge and this growth is where we see the best match for individuals with us.
And also, just following on from that, Ken, in terms of the future of work, it's all about empowerment. So yes, people are curious, they want to learn, but how do you then empower the people to be able to self-manage?
Yeah, to me, that I think that also that takes I'll answer that question with a little bit of a different twist, which is now we're also talking about how employers need to make sure that they are providing that empowerment. The first was starting with the aspect of, is somebody hungry? Do they have this thirst for knowledge? Well, the companies that are out there and the opportunities that exist must also reciprocate that and relish that. Whether that's allowing opportunities for people to cross-train to different skills or move to different departments. We recently have somebody who's moving from a development role into kind of an HR role because they have a passion for it. They've proven that they add value there, and there's so much capabilities for our technical team to enrich in their personal and professional development that this individual is going to add a ton of value there. And so the company, it is paramount that companies do provide these avenues for all their teams.
Absolutely, and I think we've got a long way to go still. I'm not sure whether we're at the future of work. So that's very inspiring, and that people can transfer to different departments and different functions according to what they're passionate about and what they're good at as well. So Lilia, what would you say about the type of company, the ideal company, which allows for growth and empowerment and self-learning?
I would say that there are many amazing companies that allow people to start with one role and then to develop their skills. Prior to founding Transformify, I was CFO of Skrill, now part of PaySafe Group, a fintech company. And there are amazing examples of people who started at the customer support department, because once they get to know the clients and they get to know the product, it is easy for them to get oriented what they want to do, which area is right for them. So one of the most amazing examples is one of the vice presidents now who started as a customer support agent, moved through risk and compliance, and finally became the vice president of a $1 billion company overlooking the entire anti-fraud and risk area. So to me, this is a great example of a company that encourages people to develop and never limit their growth only to just one department. I have seen the opposite with Fortune 500 companies that stick to whatever you first get into your CV. This is not necessarily what is best for you. When you are a student, you get your first job and you're happy that you have it, but you have no idea what really works for you, what really inspires you.
Yeah, we're not really prepared, for our education system to really be totally self-aware about, what we're good at and what we're not good at. So, the future of work, where we can explore those and look at our strengths and navigate our career, that's such a great future to look at. And, the more we can talk about that and how we can help people find the right thing for them and the right skills. What again for Lilia, in terms of people that come to you for support, first of all, sort of what impact does that have in terms of freedom as we're at the FreedomXFest? Can you give us some examples?
There are lots of people who need to work location independent. I would say that it is a misconception that those who have the freedom do it because they're privileged and they're either IT experts or they have businesses of their own. Well, there are so many people who need the freedom to work from a co-working office or from their homes because they have no other option. And I remember at the very beginning when I started Transformify, there were some single moms who contacted me via LinkedIn because I have published something about being able to work from anywhere. And they said, is it possible for us to do that? Because we need to provide for the kids, we need to take them from school at 3 p.m. and we cannot afford to have a babysitter after that. We hardly make the ends meet. So that was enlightening to understand the fact that most of these people do it because they need to do it. And the freedom we give them is actually the freedom to educate their children and to provide a better future for them.
Yeah, and without that location independence, they wouldn't be able to do it. So that's amazing. Would you say, so if someone came to you, what you know, and they wanted like a single mom or mother who had to be location independent, what would you look at their skills first of all? How would you work with them?
Luckily, now we have powerful algorithms that are matching people to jobs based on the skills of the people. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to grow that fast. It's not something that a human is doing. But otherwise, it is rather content marketing strategy to engage the employers to provide opportunities for such people. Because a lot is said about sustainability and social responsibility, but there is not so much done because the angle is not necessarily there. It is quite easy once you give an execution plan to a big employer telling them, okay, you have a CSR budget, a corporate social responsibility budget, and here is what you can do. There are people who are either highly skilled, but they need to be location independent, or there are people living in a high unemployment area. You can create opportunities for them, and this will also cut cost on your side because the office rent is completely different there, and it is quite valid for Silicon Valley. We have many clients in San Francisco who really appreciate the fact that they can create job opportunities in the high unemployment areas in the US because it is life-saving for them. This means that they have a runaway of 24 months instead of 6 months in the Silicon Valley, saving from rent, and not only, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that is one key benefit for remote work for employers and companies. So Ken, in terms of remote working, you know, you're 100% remote. How in terms of productivity, I mean, would you say that 100% remote is the ideal?
For me, yes, but not for everybody. We've brought some people on board who, as they start working for us, or actually as they're even going through some of the late stages of the recruitment process, get more exposure into how we work and what it's like to work remote. And it's not for them. And totally respect that. There's different people have different desires and how they work and how they and what's important to them. So, but what we try to do is try to make sure that we supplement the water cooler, if you will, at work via numerous aspects and social get-togethers and other aspects. So, what you're used to in a physical office environment, we look to simulate and emulate where it makes sense in a virtual environment. In our virtual environment, I do find the way that we work at HotJar to be the most productive and efficient means to work. It does require quite a bit of organization and forethought and focus on communication and culture. But I think that the productivity benefit, the outputs, the job satisfaction, and the freedom that we get across the board from our entire team makes it pay off in dividends.
Do you get together in real life as well?
Yes, we do. We twice a year we bring the entire company together to different locations. This summer we did a meetup in Malta. Last winter we were in Chamonix, France. This winter we're going to Tenerife in the Canary Islands. And what we do when we focus in on those, everybody's together for 3 days, and we focus on team building, bonding, and at times different communication and training, depending upon if there's a particular focus areas we really want to dial into. But the foremost idea and the foremost thing that we try to get out of all of these meetups is that bonding and that connection and the human touch.
Yeah, I mean that is. I think once you meet people, it's just in real life it just makes such a big difference. And then from there, you can work virtually, and people are happier because then they can work much more on their own terms, and they can have their go and pick their children up at 3 o'clock, or they can go for that run in the morning, or go to that yoga class when they want to, which is what I do. So I think everyone should be doing it. But yes, some people like the connection all the time, but we can find there are solutions for that as well. So I guess in terms of what FreedomXFest is trying to achieve in terms of the conversation about the future of work, for employers, but also for people who want to go into the job market in a more sort of to get more freedom and location independence. So we'll start with the person. What is your key message to somebody who's never? This is a question for Lilia. Message to someone who is considering it but has never done it before.
It is exciting, and at the same time, it adds a different level of responsibility. Because out of a sudden, you have to keep your own schedule and to make sure that you are online when the rest of your team is, which may mean that you're up during the night, and this happens to me all the time. So it's not easy, but it is definitely worth it.
I think I might ask Ken to respond to that, to add to that actually, about what your perspective on that is, and what you would say to somebody who's considering it.
Yeah, very much the same with what Lilia said. You have to have a certain level of maturity so that you can recognize different nuances in communication. There's we all know that it's really easy to misinterpret an email or miscommunicate tone in a written message, and you have to be very conscious of that and dialed into that, and picking up on that from others. In addition to the aspects that were already mentioned, such as the discipline to work in a schedule that your teammates and coworkers can depend upon as well.
I mean, I've got experience of being in a corporate job and half working on my own business and within the FreedomXFest team. With FreedomXFest, there's like 100 volunteers or 100 people. But I'm sort of, we work in a core group. And yeah, for us, it's we work when we want to. So we understand that we all have we want to live on our own terms. So if people don't respond straight away, we respect each other's boundaries. So usually, if there's a response within a day, we kind of work within a day usually. But if obviously there's anything urgent, we have a way to contact each other. But we don't expect sort of instant responses or responses over the weekend or when it's their evening. We know that we're not expecting a response. So I think it's not necessary that you need to be up at different deal with different time zones like that if the culture's right. Would you say that, Ken?
I totally would. I think there are different expectations and cultural norms in a much more diverse variety in a virtual business than there are in the office, right? The office is you're there from 8 to 5 or whatever the hours may be, and you're connected and you understand what the norms are because you can see them and they're more established. Well, the norms in a virtual office are sometimes evolving. and to be determined. And so setting forward that structure that is important, that exists between the peers and the coworkers and the teams, so that they understand, here's what we do on Tuesday, right? Or stuff like that. At HotJar, we have different norms, such as no meeting Wednesdays, and generally Thursdays are reserved for company meetings, team meetings associated to that at a virtual level. And so it's important that those norms are established, communicated, and understood, so that people can be as productive as they can be.
And be more human as well, so they can manage their time. So I think actually we've kind of answered two things there about, the employee, but also, in terms of the employer, the things that an ideal employer would have those kind of norms and values communicated, and also the sort of the idea of empowering others to learn. And I think, we're still on a journey to create that. Would you say, Lily?
I absolutely agree with you. It is the corporate culture, if it is part of an organization, but if this is a freelancer or an entrepreneur, it is rather setting clear goals, what the person wants to achieve, what is the commitment, how much he or she is ready to commit towards these goals. And once all this is clear, it becomes very easy to have an action plan, how many hours per day you need to work, how much time you need to spend to acquire new clients, etc., etc.
So I think we should all go to Lily if we're considering going location independent to seek more freedom, and then go and work at HotJar, because you guys are pretty cool. So that, yeah, we're here. I'm with the great leaders of the location independent movement, and I think we're going to wrap up the conversation today. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.